Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Tim from San Antonio, Texas, coming to you via Facebook Live or some previously recorded medium. But I just wanted to thank Nate for the opportunity to record this quick video here for the next few minutes. And it really, he'd asked me to do it, but didn't give me a topic or a subject or anything. So I said, what's kind of top of mind for me? And what's top of mind for me is thinking about the council meeting that we had last week in Dallas, Texas. And thank you to all the brothers and sisters that supported us there for the council meeting. This is an annual meeting where the church leadership gets together to meet and discuss primarily the business of the church, the doctrines of the church, etc. So we typically meet one time a year, and then in between we have Zoom meetings with the 12 and the 7. The 7 have their own meetings, etc. So last week was the meeting, and the thing that it reminds me of is just the uniqueness of the church organization, the uniqueness of the church structure. We don't have a CEO, we don't have a president, we don't have an executive director, we don't have a single individual person that is the one in charge, that is the one that is the leader. And as our logo says here, Jesus Christ is the head of the church. Beyond that, there's not one single individual leader. You can see it right on the logo there with the crown and Christ the head. So that's a basic fundamental of the church and that unique structure. Jesus set up the leadership structure in the New Testament in Luke chapter 6, verse 13, where he called his disciples, and from those disciples he chose 12, and it says in Luke 6:13 he named them apostles. And then later in Luke chapter 10 verse 1, he appointed 70 also and sent them two before his face to every city and place whether he himself would come. So we see Jesus setting up the 12, selecting the 70, sending the 70 out to go evangelize where he wasn't going to be able to go himself. And it was with this structure that Jesus set up the government of the church. It was with the 12 that he spent a lot of time with, training them, educating them, and he entrusted them with the mission of the church when he was leaving to ascend to the Father after his time on this earth. But when Jesus set up this structure, it wasn't the first time, it was not the first time that that type of structure had been used. Moses established a similar structure around the 12 tribes with a prince, a leader of each of those 12 tribes. In Numbers chapter 1, verse 4, talks about, and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. And then in chapter 1, verse 16 of Numbers, it says, these were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Israel. So we see the 12 tribes each having a leader that was there with Moses. And then in Numbers chapter 11, verses 16 to 17, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone. So we see a part of the structure that was established and set up, in addition to the 12 princes, the leader of each tribe, are these 70 elders that were going to help manage the burden, manage the load of all these people with Moses. So when Jesus set the 12 and the 70 in the New Testament, it was built off of this structure of 12 and 70 that we see early here in Numbers. But interestingly enough, as many of you probably know, there were foreshadows of this even before that. So if you turn to Exodus chapter 15, verse 27, it says, and they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters. So as the children of Israel are coming into the wilderness out of Egypt, they cross over the Red Sea. and they come upon this place that had 12 wells of water and 70, which is 70 palm trees, and they encamped there. They stayed there. I can't help but to think again that this is a foreshadow of the 12 and 70 that Moses would be instructed to establish shortly, that Jesus would then build on later down the road. And I can't help to think about what those 12 wells might symbolize. They might symbolize, God's provision of everyone, the deep sources of life to sustain them, the palm trees. Potentially, if you think about the children of Israel as they're in the wilderness, they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're out, they're exposed. And here they come upon these palm trees with these wells of water where maybe they had rest, maybe they had shade, maybe they found stability, maybe they found safety and security, and kind of this picture of community and safety there. A place of refuge, refreshing, and order in this chaotic time in their lives. So the 12 and the 70, again, I think are these foreshadows that we see here in Exodus, Moses establishing it, Jesus establishing it and setting it up in the future. Now, this structure is a foundational component of the church's doctrine and the church's constitution. Now, the Constitution, while it is man-made and it is based on the doctrines and it's based on the scriptures. In order for there to be changes to that Constitution or changes to the doctrine, this structure, the Constitution, everything requires unanimous agreement of the 12 apostles. And only after full review and discussion with the 70 and the ordained ministry that may be present at a council meeting where any kind of change to the Constitution or change to the doctrine is discussed. This is kind of a beautiful situation here, and it represents a very, very high burden in order for there to be a change to the Constitution or in order for there to be a change to one of the doctrinal points. Even if you're going to modify it or change it, delete it, whatever it is, it requires this process to go through, get the input of the 70, the input of the ordained ministry, and then a full unanimous vote of the 12. Again, this is a very high burden. This means that doctrinal changes aren't going to be based off of the current times. Doctrinal changes aren't going to be based off of current situations. Doctrinal changes are not going to be driven and dictated by one person or two people taking control, because it requires the unanimous vote of 12. And as a result of this, very, very few changes have been made since the reorganization of the church and the implementation of this structure in 1933. And the council meeting, again, is a reminder to me of the uniqueness of the organization, the uniqueness of our structure, and the uniqueness of the church. For those members who are privileged to be able to attend a Sabbath service during the council meeting, when there's representatives from many different cities, many different states, many different countries in attendance, it's quite a blessing to be able to be there and quite a privilege to be there. And you get a picture of the diversity of the church and the leadership of the church. But what I would say to those that have been able and been privileged to be there is that it's just kind of a reminder that you're only seeing a very small fraction of the leadership of the church. We make every attempt and have made an attempt for the last few years to get all the members of the 12 there. We haven't been able to get all 12 there at the same time, mostly related to getting people in and out of the United States from their own countries. But we make an attempt to do that. We typically have ministers there from multiple countries, but again, they're representing a very small fraction, a very small number of the membership. So for those that have been there and gotten to be a part of it, and the fellowship on the Sabbath and the songs and the singing on the Sabbath, it's a beautiful thing. But I would remind you again, you're only seeing a very small fraction. In the DR Congo alone, we have over 50 members of the ministry, 50 ordained ministers in that one country alone. So again, you're only seeing a very small number. Now, there are many roles that are in the church Very important roles that are never going to be at a council meeting. Someone who teaches the kids class, the teens class, someone who leads the young adults ministry, someone who leads the music ministry, the ones who take care of the maintenance of the church and provide for it in that way, those that are part of the financial boards in different countries and cities and locations. There's so many roles that are never going to be present at the council meeting, but the function of the church rests on all of those roles and all of those people, just as important as the people that are actually at the council meeting. And then, as we've learned in our Sabbath school lessons in the last couple months, without the individual members doing their part, without them paying tithes and doing offerings, none of it works. We saw that when the children of Israel stopped their tithes, stopped their offerings, that the priests stopped doing what they had to do because they had to go to work to support themselves, and the work of the Lord was not done. So every single person in the church is important, doing their part, doing their roles, paying tithes, paying offerings, doing what it is you do in your local congregations, maybe audio-visual team, whatever it is, extremely important, and the church can't function without you. So brothers and sisters, those are just my thoughts that I wanted to leave you with. Again, kind of coming out of last week's council meeting, just thinking about the uniqueness of the organization, the uniqueness of the structure of the church, with Christ the head, the 12 apostles, the 70, the ordained ministry, down to the deacons, down to the helpers, down to the individual disciples, individual members of the church. The whole function, the whole body is required in order to function optimally. So thank you. Have a great day and appreciate you taking the time to listen. Talk to you later. Bye.